our special guest tonight, Jessica Mystic, a crystal child who has a message to share with humanity. And Jessica is just proof that knowledge and wisdom can come in absolutely beautiful packages. Thanks so much for being here tonight, Jessica. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Definitely. Jessica, I came across you on Project Camelot. We've had a couple of their guests on the show, and I just thought you were such a beautiful, intelligent young woman. And, you know, it struck my fancy because I've heard of indigo children and star children, but I had never heard of a crystal child. Can you explain what a crystal child is?
Oh, sure. Well, an indigo really is, you know, children who have a chip on their shoulder. They're the system busters, but they're pretty angry at themselves or at the world as well. And once they transmute that and once they see themselves in everything, then it's really impossible to hold that anger. So then you go into this state of unconditional love, and then you become a crystal child, actually. You can change. You can move up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, some people think that you're only, you know, it has to be when you're born, like in, I think it's the early 90s, yeah. And so that's just not necessarily so. I mean, there is no time. You know, past, present, and future all existing at the same time simultaneously, and there are all kinds of incredible souls here holding all kinds of unique frequencies, just like there are many, you know, stations on the radio that you can tune into.
That is definitely true about our synchronized universe. It is a much more vast, expanded, miraculous, beautiful place than a lot of us really even have the time or take the time to ponder. Okay, so an indigo child could actually be a crystal child. That would be like a different level, say. Or a different dimension, maybe?
Yeah, well, they were just in the seed state. They're, you know, where the seed is buried in complete darkness and silence and alone and, you know, feeling, you know, very afraid and unsure of itself until, you know, but that's a very important part to be in. This is the part where you give birth to your inner roots, and your inner roots give birth to your outer roots. And then you burst forth and you find the sun and you see, oh my goodness, there's a whole bunch of little plants around here, you know, the same journey as me, and I only assumed I was alone.
Yes, yeah. Jessica, then what is the difference, crystal child, a indigo child, what is a star child?
Well, really everyone is a star child. In my interview I talk about how unifying all beliefs, mystical with science and religion, like I said that indigenous cultures say we came from the stars and our society says that's erroneous, and then but we say that, you know, in Christianity says that we came from Adam, and science says we came from or are made up of atoms. Atom, that's awfully similar, don't you think? And then where do atoms come from? There's only one place and one place only where atoms come from, and that is the stars. Therefore, everybody's correct, just a slight different interpretation. So we're all made up of stars. And the reason some are called star children, though, is there are people who are starting to remember their starry origins. Like just remembering lives on other worlds, other dimensions.
Now, are these people just kind of random, or what's going on? Why do we hear about these different types of children and different types of phenomena recently?
Well, I feel that it's always been there. I think it's just been more taboo. It's not been, like, comfortable for people to bring up. A lot of people are hiding who they are and what they know, because there are people who have had this insight when, you know, in the 1900s. You know, but they just had to keep it hush. And what's really neat, though, is because they've been holding this frequency and this mind state and this heart state for such a period of time, they've...
Okay, who did we lose?
Pardon?
Okay, you know, Jessica, I don't know if it was you or me, but I just missed about 30 seconds of what you said, so if you don't mind, could you please repeat?
Oh, I was just saying that there have been people like this in the 1900s and even the 40s, and just really what this is because they've been holding this frequency for so many years. They've been like the pioneers that's paved the way to make it possible for souls like us to come to the planet this time, more confident and sure of ourselves in a world where it's more aware, it's more open, you're more allowed to kind of be yourself. We have the technology era now, and, they didn't have that before us, so they were very alone with it.
Absolutely. Isn't that the truth? Jessica, I'm just, I'm imagining a beautiful little girl. I'm a mother. I have 2 beautiful little girls. And, I think the dream, I guess, with children, you want to provide the same type of environment and let them play and have fun and explore all these new, basically all the beauty of life, or that's my goal anyways. But where did you come to find that you were a little bit different than the rest of the children?
Well, I guess when I was in grade 8, I would say things like angels are aliens and aliens are angels, and then I'd be made fun of. But I never really thought much of it, actually. It was just a very normal thing for me to share. But I think somewhere along the line I got very afraid of being different, and so I went on this quest to try to be as normal and fit in as best as I could, but, that was never going to happen. And when we do a really good job of lying to ourselves, life, is very adamant about, keeping you on your path and staying true to yourself. And so we'll create what I like to call angelic kicks in the butt to get you back on par. And it's already laid out. Like, it's very clever. But for me personally, I had a tragedy to awaken me. It started with my sister passing away. And after she passed away, what was really interesting is she crossed over, and my father ended up having a stroke, and my mom had chronic migraines. And my sister ended up coming back and speaking to my dad. Now, like I said, she's crossed over. Mediums can only speak to someone if they haven't crossed over to help them cross over. So that was very bizarre. And she came right back to my dad, and she's like, it's such an exciting time to be alive. I'm so excited for the family. There are certain members of the family called for a very specific mission, and just on and on she went. And
how old were you when your daughter died?
No, my sister.
I'm sorry, sister.
16.
16.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it was then, I guess, that you probably never thought about the other side or dimensions until, the experience hit home then.
Well, actually, I completely fought it. I thought my dad had a stroke, so he's crazy, right? He doesn't know what he's talking about, and it's really cruel to bring this up. What a sick joke. And so I completely fought it. And so then he started to have angels coming through. My sister apparently was some kind of catalyst or trigger to activate other beings to come through and speak to my father. And so not only angels started coming through, but star beings started coming through. And they wanted to speak to me. And Dad's like, they want to talk to you. Like, I don't care about the voices in your head, Dad. Leave me alone,
Oh, my
And so, of all his many attempts to try to get through to me and share certain kinds of messages, I was not receptive. So then what would happen is I'd go to libraries or bookstores, and books would always fall at my feet with the same kind of concepts that my dad was trying to share with me from these beings. And I refused to look at them because I was kind of Christian at that time, and I thought it was evil, the devil. I ran out of there. And but then it didn't stop there. People on the streets, people I knew and people I didn't know would come up and give me, again, books with the same kind of content.
Well, Jessica, just to kind of help me understand, or help everyone understand the time frame here, when was it then that your dad started saying, "Hey, honey, a little angel here wants to talk to you"?
That was about around age 16 as well. It was not too long after Melissa's death. After my sister passed away, things became very Twilight Zone-like.
Okay, so your initial reaction was like, okay, Dad, you need to take some more pharmaceuticals, or?
My dad was never on pharmaceuticals. He was always guided by these beings that I would learn later.
Joke.
But he was just, I guess I was really upset because I wanted a normal father. I wanted and now when I think about it, it's really silly because that kind of world, that we're all fighting for is really, it's so faulted in a sense. It's such pain and misery and locked from our magic and who we are. Why are we defending that?